My name is Jordan, and this is the story of how one broken tent changed the trajectory of my entire life. It started with a group camping trip, 10 of us from college, celebrating the end of finals with a weekend in the mountains. We'd rented a campsite near a lake, packed way too much beer and not enough food, and were ready to spend 3 days pretending we knew how to survive in the wilderness. I'd been looking forward to this trip for weeks, not just for the camping but because Evan would be there. Evan Matthews, 23 years old, environmental science major with sandy brown hair that always looked windswept, hazel eyes that changed color in different light, and a smile that made my stomach do stupid things. He was passionate about conservation, loved terrible puns, and had this laugh that was completely infectious. He was also, as far as I knew, completely straight. We'd been friends since freshman year, part of the same extended friend group. We'd studied together, grabbed coffee, sat next to each other in lectures, but that's all it was, friendship. I'd accepted that, filed my feelings away under impossible crush, and learned to be content with what I could have. The camping trip was supposed to be fun, easy, nothing complicated, just friends hanging out in nature. Of course, nothing ever goes according to plan. We arrived at the campsite Friday afternoon and chaos immediately ensued. Half of us had never actually camped before, which became evident when people started trying to set up tents. "Does this pole go here or here?" my friend Maya asked, holding up two identical-looking pieces. "I think the instructions are in Chinese," someone else muttered. "They're in English, you just have to actually read them," Evan said, helping untangle someone's tent from a tree branch. I watched him work, efficient and capable, and tried not to be obvious about it. He was wearing a faded university t-shirt and cargo shorts, and somehow made the outfit look better than it had any right to. "Jordan, you going to help or just stand there?" my friend Chris called out. "I'm supervising," I shot back, but moved to help anyway. It took 2 hours, but we eventually had all the tents up, or most of them anyway. Mine was slightly lopsided, Maya's looked like it might collapse in a light breeze, and Chris's was definitely not waterproof despite his insistence otherwise. Evan's tent was perfect, of course, because Evan actually knew what he was doing. We spent the evening around the campfire, cooking hot dogs, telling stories, and slowly working through the beer we'd brought. As darkness fell and the temperature dropped, people started pairing off into their tents. "Night losers," Maya said, heading to the tent she was sharing with her girlfriend. "Don't do anything I wouldn't do," Chris called after them. "That leaves literally everything on the table," she shot back. Gradually, people dispersed until it was just me, Evan, and Chris still by the fire. "I'm calling it," Chris said, standing and stretching. "Some of us need our beauty sleep. Some of us need more than others," Evan teased. "Rude, accurate but rude." Chris headed to his tent. "Don't stay up too late, children." And then it was just Evan and me, sitting across from each other with the fire between us, the woods dark and quiet around us. "This is nice," Evan said, poking the fire with a stick. "Getting away from everything, no phones, no internet, just nature." "Your environmental science major is showing." "Can't help it, this is literally my dream, helping preserve places like this so future generations can enjoy them." "That's pretty noble. Or naive, depending on who you ask." He looked up at me through the flames. "What about you? What's your dream?" I thought about it. "Honestly, I don't know yet, I'm still figuring it out." "That's okay, not everyone has to have it all figured out at 23. Do you have it all figured out?" "God, no, I know I want to work in conservation, but beyond that," he shrugged. "I'm making it up as I go, pretending to be an adult." "You're better at it than most of us." "That's because I'm good at faking confidence," he smiled. "Inside, I'm just as lost as everyone else." We talked for another hour, about school, about futures, about the fear of becoming real adults with real responsibilities. It was easy, comfortable, the kind of conversation you can only have when it's late and dark and the normal rules of social interaction feel suspended. "I should sleep," Evan said eventually. "Early hike tomorrow, right?" "Right, you coming?" "Wouldn't miss it, nature waits for no one." He stood, stretched. "Night, Jordan." "Night." I watched him walk to his tent, then sat alone by the dying fire for a few more minutes, trying not to think about how much I wished I could follow him. I was awakened around 2 a.m. by the sound of rain pounding on my tent. Not gentle rain, aggressive, angry rain that sounded like it was trying to break through the fabric. Shit, I muttered, sitting up. Around me, I could hear movement from other tents, people checking to see if they were staying dry. Then I heard a different sound, a ripping noise followed by a very distinct fuck. That was Evan's voice. I unzipped my tent and peered out into the darkness. Rain immediately hit my face. Across the campsite, I could see Evan's tent, or what was left of it. One side had completely collapsed and he was trying to hold it up against the wind. Evan, I called out. He looked over, rain streaming down his face. My tent's destroyed, the pole broke. Come here, I gestured to my tent. He grabbed his sleeping bag and backpack and ran over, ducking into my tent and bringing a significant amount of rain with him. Sorry, he said, trying to shake off some of the water. I didn't mean to, your tent's going to be soaked now. It's fine, better than you sleeping in a collapsed tent. I grabbed a towel from my bag and handed it to him. Here. He dried off as best he could, then we both just sat there, cramped in my definitely meant for one-person tent, listening to the storm rage outside. Thanks for this, he said. I could have tried to fix it, but in the middle of a storm, no way, you can stay here. You sure it's going to be really cramped? It's fine, we'll make it work. We rearranged, trying to figure out how two grown men could sleep in a space designed for one. Eventually, we ended up lying side by side, our sleeping bags overlapping, shoulders and arms pressed together because there was literally no other way to fit. This okay? Evan asked quietly. Yeah, you. Yeah. But nothing about this was okay. I was hyper-aware of every point of contact, his shoulder against mine, his arm brushing my arm, the warmth radiating from his body. We were so close I could hear him breathing, feel every slight movement. I tried to calm my racing heart, tried to think about anything other than how much I wanted to turn toward him, to close the few inches between us, to stop, he's straight, he's your friend, this means nothing to him. Jordan, Evan's voice was soft in the darkness. Yes. Can I ask you something, and you can tell me if it's too personal? My heart rate spiked. Okay. Are you seeing anyone? Of all the questions I'd expected, that wasn't one of them. No, why? Just curious, you never talk about dating, and I realized I don't actually know if you're interested in anyone. There's someone, I admitted carefully, but it's complicated. Complicated how? They don't feel the same way, and we're friends, so I don't want to mess that up. He was quiet for a moment. That sucks, have you told them? No, and I'm not going to. Some things are better left unsaid. I don't know if I agree with that. What do you mean? I think honesty is usually better than silence, even when it's scary, even when you might get hurt. He shifted slightly and our arms pressed closer together. If you don't tell them, you'll never know what might have happened. And if I tell them and they don't feel the same way, I've ruined everything. Or maybe they do feel the same way, and you've both been too scared to say anything. There was something in his voice, a weight, a meaning I couldn't quite decipher. Was he talking about me or about himself? What about you? I asked. Anyone you're interested in? Yeah, actually, for a while now. My stomach dropped. Of course he was interested in someone. Probably one of the girls on this trip or someone from class or... Haven't told them either, he continued. Same reason as you, scared of messing up a friendship. Is it? I stopped myself. I was about to ask if it was someone on this trip, but I didn't actually want to know the answer. Is it what? Nothing, never mind. We fell silent again, but the air felt different now, charged with unspoken things, with questions neither of us were brave enough to ask. We should sleep, Evan said finally. We have that hike in, he checked his watch in the darkness, 4 hours. Right, sleep. But I didn't sleep. I lay there in the dark, pressed against Evan, listening to the rain and trying to understand what was happening between us. The morning after. I must have dozed off eventually because I woke to sunlight streaming through the tent and the sound of birds, and to the realization that at some point during the night, Evan and I had moved closer together. He was curled against my side, his head on my shoulder, one arm draped across my chest. We were tangled together like we'd slept this way 1,000 times before, like it was the most natural thing in the world. For a moment, I didn't move, just lay there, feeling his warmth, his steady breathing, the weight of his arm, memorizing the moment because I knew it would probably never happen again. Then Evan stirred and I felt him become aware of our position. He went very still. "Sorry," he mumbled, pulling away quickly. "I didn't mean to, sorry." "It's fine, we were cramped, happens." "Right, yeah, cramped." He wouldn't meet my eyes as he fumbled for his shoes. "I should check on my tent, see if it's salvageable." He bolted from my tent, and I sat there feeling like I'd somehow ruined something, though I wasn't sure what. The hike later that morning was awkward. Evan and I, who usually walked together and talked nonstop, kept getting separated by other people. Every time I tried to catch up to him, someone else would start a conversation or he'd speed up or something would intervene. "What's going on with you two?" Maya asked, falling into step beside me. "You're being weird." "We're not being weird. Jordan, you've looked at him approximately 47 times in the last 10 minutes and every time you do, he looks away. That's weird. His tent broke last night, he had to sleep in mine, it was awkward." "Why would that be awkward unless?" Her eyes widened. "Oh my God, did something happen?" "No, nothing happened, we slept in the same tent because his was broken, that's it." "But you wanted something to happen." I didn't answer, which was answer enough. "Jordan, you need to tell him." "Tell him what?" "That I've had a crush on him for 2 years, that I'm in love with my straight friend." "Yeah, that'll go great." "How do you know he's straight?" "Because he's never indicated otherwise, because he's dated girls, because." "Has he dated girls, plural, or did he go on like 3 dates with that one girl freshman year and then nothing since?" I stopped walking. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe Evan Matthews isn't as straight as you think he is, and maybe you should talk to him instead of pinning pathetically from afar." "I don't pine pathetically." "Jordan, you've been staring at him like a sad puppy for 2 years, it's pathetic, talk to him." That night, after another campfire and more storytelling, people started heading to bed again. Evan's tent was still unusable, we tried to fix it but the broken pole was beyond repair. "You can stay in my tent again," I offered awkwardly, "if you want." "Are you sure?" "I could try to squeeze into Chris's tent." "Chris snores, trust me you don't want that, mine's fine, we already did it once." "Okay, yeah, thanks." We prepared for bed in awkward silence, both of us hyper-aware of how this had gone the night before. The intimacy, the closeness, the conversation that had felt like it was leading somewhere. Once we were settled in our sleeping bags, pressed together in the small space, Evan spoke. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to not freak out." My heart started racing. "Okay." "Last night when we talked about people we were interested in, I wasn't being completely honest with you." "What do you mean?" "The person I'm interested in, it's not a girl, I'm bisexual, Jordan. I've known since high school but I don't really talk about it because it never seemed relevant. Most people just assume I'm straight and I let them." Oh, my brain was short-circuiting. "Okay. And the person I'm interested in, the friend I'm scared of telling," he turned on his side to face me in the darkness. "It's you, Jordan. I've had feelings for you since sophomore year and I've been too scared to say anything because I didn't want to lose your friendship. But last night, sleeping next to you, feeling so close to you, I can't keep it in anymore. I'm in love with you." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Evan Matthews, the guy I'd been pinning over for 2 years, had just told me he was in love with me. "Say something," he whispered. "Please, even if it's to tell me you don't feel the same way, just say something." "The person I was talking about last night," I managed. "The complicated situation, it was you, Evan." "It's always been you." "What?" "I'm in love with you too, have been for 2 years. I thought you were straight so I never said anything. I learned to live with it." "You love me," his voice was barely audible. "Yes. And I love you. Apparently." So we've both been in love with each other for 2 years and we're both too scared to say anything. "Looks like it. We're idiots. Complete idiots." And then he kissed me. It was soft and tentative at first, questioning, like he was making sure this was really okay. I kissed him back and it deepened, became more certain. His hand cupped my face, my fingers tangled in his hair, and everything I'd imagined for 2 years paled in comparison to the reality. When we finally pulled apart, we were both smiling like fools. That was Evan started. Yeah. Can we do it again? Please. The morning. We spent most of the night talking about our feelings, about how long we'd each been pinning, about all the moments we'd almost confessed and chickened out. Remember that time sophomore year when we studied together all night for that biology exam? Evan asked. Yes. You fell asleep on my shoulder around 4 a.m. I sat there for 2 hours, terrified to move because I didn't want to wake you, and that's when I realized I had feelings for you. That's when you realized. That's when I stopped being able to deny it. What about you? I thought back, there was this day in the campus coffee shop. You were talking about this documentary you'd watched about ocean conservation, and you were so passionate, so animated, and I just thought I could listen to him talk forever. That's when I knew. Sophomore year. Sophomore year. We wasted so much time. We were scared, that's understandable. Still, think of all the time we could have been together. We're together now, that's what matters. As the sun rose, we were still tangled together, talking and occasionally kissing, neither of us willing to leave this bubble we'd created. We should probably tell everyone, Evan said eventually. How do you think they'll react? Maya's going to say, I told you so, approximately 8 million times. She absolutely is. Chris is going to make inappropriate jokes. For at least a month. Are you okay with that, going public? Jordan, I've been hiding how I feel for 2 years. I'm done hiding. I want everyone to know you're my boyfriend. Boyfriend, I repeated, testing the word. I like the sound of that. Me too. When we emerged from the tent that morning, it was immediately obvious that something had changed. We were walking close together, smiling like idiots, and kept finding excuses to touch, a hand on an arm, fingers brushing, shoulders bumping. Maya took one look at us and screamed. I knew it, I fucking knew it. Knew what? Chris asked, confused. They finally got together, she pointed at us dramatically. Look at them, look at their stupid happy faces. Oh shit, really? Chris looked between us. About damn time, the sexual tension was killing everyone. We did not have sexual tension, I protested weakly. Jordan, you've been fucking each other for 2 years. Everyone noticed except you two. The rest of the group emerged from their tents, curious about the commotion. Within minutes, everyone knew, and the reactions ranged from finally, to wait, you weren't already dating, to I lost the bet, damn it. You were betting on us, Evan asked. We had a running bet about when you'd get together, Maya explained. I said by graduation, Chris said never because you're both useless, looks like neither of us won. That's what you get for betting on our love life, I said. Worth it to see you two finally happy, Maya said, hugging us both. You're cute together, annoyingly cute. The rest of the camping trip was blissful. Evan and I didn't hide our relationship. We held hands by the campfire, shared a sleeping bag openly, kissed whenever we felt like it. It felt liberating after 2 years of hiding our feelings. This is nice, Evan said our last night as we lay under the stars, my head on his chest. Being open, not hiding. Very nice, though I kind of liked having you all to myself in that tiny tent. We can recreate that anytime. My apartment is much more comfortable. Is that an invitation? Absolutely. Back at school, Evan and I navigated being a new couple. We went on proper dates, movies, dinners, walks around campus. We studied together, but now we could take breaks to kiss, which significantly improved the studying experience. We also dealt with the reactions of others. Most people were supportive. Some were surprised, particularly those who'd assumed Evan was straight. A few made ignorant comments that we shut down quickly. Evan came out more publicly, changed his social media to reflect his relationship with me. It was a big step for him, and I was proud. How are you feeling? I asked after he'd posted a photo of us together with the caption, finally got the guy. Good, really good, like I can finally breathe. He pulled me close, thank you. For what? For being patient while I figured myself out, for loving me even when I was too scared to be honest. You were worth the wait. So were you. 1 year later. A year after that camping trip, A year after Evan's tent broke and we ended up sharing mine, we went back to the same campsite with the same group of friends. This is where it all started, Maya said dramatically as we set up camp, the birthplace of your love. Can you not? I said, but I was smiling. This time, Evan and I shared a tent from the beginning, a bigger one with room to actually move around, but somehow we still ended up tangled together just like that first night. Remember when you were terrified to sleep next to me? Evan teased. I was not terrified, I was cautious. You were terrified, your heart was beating so fast I could feel it. That's because I'd been in love with you for 2 years and suddenly we were pressed together in a tiny tent. Cut me some slack. He kissed me softly. I'm glad my tent broke. Me too, best broken tent in history. You know what I think about sometimes, he said. What? All the ways this could have gone differently if my tent hadn't broken, if the storm hadn't happened, if I hadn't been brave enough to tell you how I felt. We would have figured it out eventually. Maybe we would have graduated, gone our separate ways, and spent our lives wondering what if. That's dark. But true, Jordan, I don't believe in fate or destiny or anything like that, but I believe we were supposed to be together, and I'm grateful for every coincidence that got us here. Even the broken tent. Especially the broken tent. 5 years later. 5 years after that camping trip, Evan proposed. We were camping again, it had become a tradition. Going back to that same site every year, and he'd planned an elaborate proposal involving all our friends, lights in the trees, and a tent set up exactly like mine had been that first night. 5 years ago, my tent broke and you offered to share yours, he said as I stood there, stunned, surrounded by our friends. That night, everything changed. You changed my life, Jordan. You gave me the courage to be myself, to love openly, to stop hiding. You're my best friend, my partner, my home. Will you marry me? I said yes through tears, and our friends cheered, and Maya yelled, finally, even though we'd already been together for 5 years. We got married the following summer in a ceremony at that same campsite under the trees where we'd spent so many nights. My tent from that first night served as the altar decoration, broken pole and all. That tent changed my life, I told our guests during my speech. A random piece of camping equipment brought me the love of my life. So remember, sometimes the best things come from unexpected places. Sometimes a broken tent is exactly what you need. Evan squeezed my hand. Best broken tent ever, he whispered. Best broken tent ever, I agreed. And it was that broken tent, that shared space, that night when we were both finally brave enough to tell the truth. It was the beginning of everything. 5 years later, married and building a life together, we still went camping every year, still set up tents, though we always brought a backup now just in case, still told the story of how we got together to anyone who'd listen. Because it was a good story, the kind of story that reminded you that love comes when you least expect it in the most unlikely circumstances. That sometimes the universe conspires to put two people in a tiny tent together until they finally admit what everyone else already knew. That sometimes a broken tent is the best thing that could happen to you. The end. This story is about unexpected moments, finding courage to be honest, and discovering that sometimes the best relationships begin in the most unlikely ways. Whether you're still searching or have already found your person, remember, love often shows up when we least expect it, in forms we don't anticipate.